Prior to this fellowship, I'm not certain I would have been brave enough to open myself up to all the opportunities that have been afforded to me at this point. My growth is a direct product of those that took the time to reach out, support, mentor, and I in return will continue to mentor and nurture the next generation of advocates for the nursing profession and the populations we serve. Investing in the next generation is the pipeline which will continue to fuel the fight in the reduction of health disparities and equal access and treatment for all.
Human rights are an important part of our individual status as human beings and of our collective status as members of the global community. So the human rights framework can be used as a tool for action in health equity work, and in turn, health equity can make substantial contributions to human rights, especially by indicating how to operationalize this right to health for the purpose of measurement and accountability.
I wanted to devote my life to improving health access to the most vulnerable because it was my way to fight the structural and social evils of the world. Don't be like me, because anger and fear, they have the power to deplete you. Instead, let your life be an outpouring of love. Love that you wish you had. Love that you have been given. Love that you can only dream of. Because love is the only ideal that will rise above all struggles, all wounds, all self-doubt. The only sustainable way you can truly be idealistic is to allow yourself to be moved by love.
My ask is in 4 areas. 1, learn the data, learn about the inequity. 2, don't be afraid to demonstrate love and to show value for other people. 3, name and address the isms, whether it's racism, genderism, ageism, whatever the ism is. And 4, and lastly, use your power. Use your privilege to make a difference, to work with those impacted by the problem, to solve the problem, to create structures and policies and practices that result in the conditions of equity for all people.
But being truthful and transparent means that we're going to have to deal with the uncomfortable realities. We must accept and acknowledge our differences. Many of us will be called to work with people who think differently than us, who act differently than us. But do we expect them to only say what we want us to hear? Do we expect for them to only show us what we want to actually see? These are things that we must deal with. But the thing is, though, if we only expect them to show a certain thing or say a certain thing, then we're no different from those people who looked upon their ruler and saw that he was naked, who said nothing. But I ask, given the work that lies ahead, who's willing to be the brave child? Who's willing to state the obvious? Another question, who's brave enough to be the naked ruler, willing to march down the street in all their nakedness?
And during my training, I also had the privilege of being selected for an exchange student program in Sweden, a country where health is beyond a human right, but a priority that has been secured for every citizen by the government. I remember being dumbfounded when my supervisors and colleagues asked me to draw comparisons between the 2 countries' hospitals. There were no similarities whatsoever. The clean white floors of the Swedish hospitals were such a contrast to what I had gotten used to seeing in the hospitals back home, with floors that were blood-stained and packed to capacity with patients that were sprawled all over.
There is so much to be done for those who are not as privileged, who have faced decades of marginalization because of attributes that they have had absolutely no control over. And what better place to do it than in India? I feel deeply humbled thinking life is a lottery, and so much of what we experience is determined purely by chance and then by societal constructs. While I realize I can't fix everything and homogenize all privileges, I have to be mindful and sensitive about it through my work as I push forward the health equity agenda in India.
In the US and across the globe, we have seen an immense amount of resources, financial and otherwise, invested in charity-level interventions. Yet inequities continue to be unacceptably pervasive. Although our work must always begin at the individual level with ourselves, in order to bring about the transformation that we seek, we must inevitably shift our gaze further upstream.
My story of self is underpinned always by a deep-seated, roughed-voiced menace of what is actually a question, my question. How can you help anyone if you can't help those that are closest to you? How can you help anyone if you don't know how to help yourself? There are some things in life that are not okay and never will be. The isolation, the inhumanity that dominates so much of our healthcare system, rooted in our individualism, in our capitalism, in our inequity, is inexcusable.
These statistics are part of a narrative outsiders have developed to tell a story about American Indian and Alaska Native communities. While these statistics may be accurate, they are not complete, and our community partners are uncomfortable leading with these negative statistics. The statistics suggest an academic command of the situation, but do not acknowledge the historical and structural processes that have helped create these outcomes, nor do they humanize those who are actually impacted. As I have learned firsthand from my esteemed Native partners, they are not statistics.
And so what I realized very quickly was that my project was entirely from the wrong perspective. It was all coming from me, and that was inappropriate. As much as I wanted to help all of these patients that I had come to know and love, I could do that, but in a different way. So no longer was I going to look down at this community and do a needs assessment and ask them questions and bring them in for interviews and figure out a way that I could make them better. I was going to find a way to drive the community from within. And I didn't know how I was going to do that first.
By the luck of the draw, I was sitting next to who appeared to be one of the few locals on the plane. I learned that she was a native Rwandan, returning home after a graduate semester in Boston. She was very curious about our program and what we were up to. She asked what I was going to be teaching at this rural outpost where we were headed. And she was surprised and seemed pleased, and I was humbled that no, my purpose was to learn from her, to learn from their example.
As I am looking right now across this room to all of you, I want to tell you how much inspiration and hope each one of you has given me. Each one of you in a very different way. I have at times sat from the sideline and admired your courage, strength, skills, passion, humanity, and vulnerability. I have seen and felt the strength of our differences. I have learned that being uncomfortable is not only okay, but desired. I have learned that transforming our pain makes us stronger, and I have learned to channel the energy and the passion from that pain towards social justice.
So knowledge of self is iterative. It's a process, and this exercise to me was a call to action for discovery. And on this journey for me, confidence and ambition are really only flashlights and shovels. Self-doubt seems to be the compass. And really the only way for me to gauge exactly where it is that I want to go. So in my journey this year, what I've learned about the common threads of humanity, or what I've learned are the common threads of humanity. And that, these aren't superhumans. These were superhumans, whose superness was simply a desire to help other humans and the ability and the privilege to do so.
And it's been an incredible journey and comforting to know that I am not the only one who feels this way. And it's been comforting being able to lean in to the discomfort and lean on like other like-minded individuals who are all leaders in our own right, working towards health equity. I still have the imposter syndrome lurking in the background, but I choose to be a leader in spite of my imposter syndrome, because I truly believe that we can turn the assets that we have into the power that we need to get the change that we want. Thank you.